Hello and welcome to A-Level Religious Studies. Thanks for taking an interest in the subject, and I'm hoping to take you through some of the questions that you might have and just really let you know a little bit more about what the A-Level involves. I suppose what we're really looking at is the really big question that people have tried to answer for many years, and that is, what is truth? That's a huge question, and what do I mean by that? Well, we're trying to find out what is real in the world around us and through ethical and moral decisions, and about whether or not truth has been revealed to human beings over time in a variety of different ways. One of the questions you might be asking yourself is, well, who studies this and why? Well, I've always thought of this subject as a great chameleon subject. Depending on what you want to work with in the future, whether or not it's going to be sciences, maths, whether it's going to be more humanities and English and history, or whether or not you're going to go into medicine. This subject really connects with all sorts of disciplines in a variety of ways. In fact, I think it's really good to show breadth of knowledge and breadth of your disciplines and your interests, particularly if you're putting stuff down on a UCAS form that wants to get you noticed. I think a big question that you need to ask with this is, what do you need to be in order to study it successfully? Well, you'll see on the screen there, I've put some ideas out for you, but I think it is really important that you are somebody who likes to ask big questions, that likes to be inquisitive about the world, and also to be open-minded about how over many years people have come to put arguments together and to work out what works and what doesn't work with those arguments. It's important that you enjoy reading, but there are other ways of researching. There are podcasts and there are YouTube clips to support your learning, and we will help you in a variety of different ways of showing links with the topics we study to the world around us in a completely a massive variety of different ways. So you can see on paper one the sorts of topics that we do here. We go back to classical ideas, starting with the pre-Socratic philosophers, looking at Plato and Aristotle, and then seeing how modern ideas today with quantum mechanics perhaps are gesturing towards some of the ideas these great philosophers were making their ideas known about many years ago. We look at topics to do with the nature of language, about how we can speak about these ideas with meaning, or whether or not it's all meaningless. So again, the big questions in life. With the ethics paper, we are looking at the differences between right and wrong and the different theories and rules people have made up in order to make sure they stick to those ideas of right and wrong. So we look at big debates about whether or not we have conscience, about whether or not we have absolute moral laws, or whether or not everything is absolutely relative. The third paper is the theological one, and this one might be the one you have a few more questions about, but it's rather simple. It's basically looking at sources of religious wisdom and authority, and really those people who've tried over the years to have answers to the previous questions on the first two papers. We look at whether or not that has been successful, and we look and see what we can learn from the ideas that they've had and whether or not they've been successful in their time and beyond today. So what's it like in lessons, and actually what's it like outside of the classroom? Well, obviously the exams are important, and we make sure that you are supported in learning how to write a good essay. It's not that simple really, but once you've learnt the skill and you've learnt to evaluate things properly, gosh, can it be useful in pretty much all walks of life. Don't forget, we're dealing with people, so many of our experiences will be outside the classroom. For instance, we will invite leading philosophers into the school. We've had some amazing names in our field come in, and we've not only had public lectures, but we've also had private sessions with our A-level students where they've got to ask some of the leading names their own questions, and consequently that's enabled them to put on their UCAS forms that they've asked these brilliant philosophers these big questions, and it's enabled them to really sort of stamp their mark on their subject or their application. We have a wonderful opportunity every year, our annual philosophy conference, where we invite Peter Vardy in and some other speakers and some other students who are studying religious studies in the local area. In fact, some people travel as far as Newcastle to come and see him. It's an amazing experience where you get to hear some of the newest ideas, and also again the opportunity to ask these people directly some of your questions and engage in live debate in this forum. But because philosophy and ethics is not just dealing with things in textbooks, it's dealing with people and the world around us, we can find links to our subjects in all sorts of places, including some excellent films and some wonderful television series. So, for example, some of you might have been looking at Upload recently, which is looking at a virtual afterlife, which raises some of the really interesting questions that we ask about personal identity that's on your course. So we're always looking, and in fact, if you come into my classroom, you will have noticed like film posters up. It's not just because it's a nice thing for me to look at, it's very much us making links to ideas that are around us and then linking it back down to the classical philosophers that we study in class. But there's no getting away from it. You are going to have to do some reading. And whilst that might seem a bit scary for those of you who don't spend a lot of time reading at the moment, philosophy reading doesn't always have to be like you read a novel. It's not like you start at the beginning and go right to the end. Often you will just be reading things in small sections and making notes of that, and then coming into class and saying, I read these couple of paragraphs yesterday. What's this got to do with, and then a topic that perhaps we've been speaking about, like recently we've been speaking about different multiverses, and Penrose, the person who's won a Nobel Prize recently, his ideas about that. And don't forget, we will support you with your learning. There is a really well stocked iForks set of pages. They will help you, and we will help you develop your own writing and support you as you move through the course. We're coming towards the end of the presentation now. Just have a think about what some of these people have said about it. You can flick back on this slide and read it for yourself. But then if you have any questions, then please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.